Welcome in to the Off-Brand Avalanche podcast. Post Game 2, not a lot to love in this one. I mean, it was pretty frustrating, honestly. Avalanche got up pretty quickly early on, scored one in the first. Would like to have seen them score more than one in the first off of 20 shots. 20 shots to 6 in the first period. Scored another one, a good goal by Mikko Rantanen on that, right in that top corner in the second period, and then it was all downhill from there. 4 consecutive goals by Dallas. They got some help, they got real lucky. The roll off of Radulov's shoulder, there was some officiating things. I didn't think that the officiating necessarily benefited Dallas. I thought it was very poor both ways, but I definitely didn't think it was good. And I don't think that Dallas should have been on the 5-on-3. I also don't know that Colorado should have been on the 5-on-3 shortly after. But Zach, what did you think? What are your thoughts coming out of that?
First of all, very frustrating to watch. But this does not take away my hope. I want to be a little bit of positive here. I still feel like the Avs could come back and win the next two just as easy as the Stars just did that. So, but the big story coming out of the game, obviously out of the first period, Hudobin, he locked it down for him. How are you going to get 20 shots in the first period and you're going to let one in? I mean, that's outstanding. And not only were they, 20 shots on goal, some of these were high danger scoring chances easily. And, that didn't hurt me, though. I wasn't mad after the first. The boys came out buzzing. That nice saucer pass from Mikko to Nate on the second goal was absolutely beautiful. That inspired some hope. But once again, they were getting the goaltending when we didn't. The one goal that really pisses me off, Billy, and I don't know if you're going to agree with this or not, you probably will, is the third goal. The third goal really rung my bell. That one pisses me off a lot. Not only because, I feel like Frankie has to have that in all circumstances. He has to save that.
Yeah, get your glove up. I mean, it's rolling over your head. Just grab it. He lost sight of it or something, and I know that's a crazy bounce and it's hard, but I agree with you.
Oh, no, I think that was the fourth goal. That's the Radulov goal I think you're talking about. I'm talking about the one where the review happened.
Oh, yeah, that was the fourth one on Asa Lindell.
Oh, okay.
That was immediately after. That was Donskoy lost the...
Yes.
Donskoy bobbled it.
Me off. Donskoy not strong on his skates when he needed to be. And I think, Frankie played that really, really bad. And I don't know. I saw the angle where the puck goes in, but how is the ref? I don't know if you feel that, Billy. From the behind the net, going to call that a goal. He's going clearly based off a reaction. Which should not be how officiating works.
The ref that called that a goal did not see it cross the line. I didn't see a replay that conclusively saw that it crossed the line. Asa Lindell celebrated, and that's what the ref called. The one thing I will say, Sam Girard, you need to argue. You need to be waving it. You need to be counteracting it as hard as Asa Lindell is celebrating, because when the ref sees one guy celebrating and calls it, he's not going to change his mind if no one on the other team is going to contradict him. So that was part of it. The other thing, like you said, I thought Frankie should have had that. When we were talking about the goalie debate, we were talking about his rebound control, and that's just a perfect example. When the puck hits you, whether it hits you in the pad or wherever it hits you, that needs to be covered with your blocker, covered with your glove, covered with your pad. It's got to be covered with something. And it wasn't. It was just left laying there. No one on the Avs cleared it out either, but that's one you got to think maybe Grubauer saves with a little bit of better rebound control. And Donskoy on that play. Not only did he bobble the puck, which, again, we talked about in the last game, but it has been a pattern for as long as we've been in the bubble. We have not been able to really knock the puck down. Once it's rolling on us, it's been bobbled in. That's a symptom of the long delay, but you would think they have to have that in check by now, and they didn't. Donskoy lost the puck. I saw Landeskog lose the puck a couple times like that later, a couple other guys, and then Donskoy loses the race. Once you make the mistake, you have to make up for it, and Donskoy didn't on that play. It ends up in the back of the Stars net. On that same tangent, like I was kind of saying, I thought Frankie should have had the third one. He was, I thought, down too early. I thought he should
Mm-hmm.
have. Yes, it's a freak bounce, and it's hard to totally
Mm-hmm.
blame him for it, but at the same time, you need to be tracking the puck. When it's on his shoulder, you need to get up, get in front of it, see where it's going, track it, and glove it down. Frankie did not do that. He let it bounce. I don't think he ever saw it. I don't think he ever found it, and that's why it was in the back of the net.
Yeah. I just again, this like not a lot of positives other than the top line. Again, where's that bottom nine? We need somebody, anybody, really, just anybody to produce,
Yeah,
and they're just not. And it's apparent the start in that third period, we could not get anything going. The Stars absolutely locked us down, really from midway through the second through the end of the game.
and that's Stars
Um,
hockey.
that is Stars hockey, and yeah, it was just really embarrassing to that bottom nine. I don't know, I don't know.
It was
It's just
once you go down on the Stars, it's very, very tough to come back. That is one of the
right.
things as a team that they are. I mean, they're one of the best defensive teams in the league. When they score four
Yeah,
goals in a game, they're probably going to win it. Their problem all year was that they weren't able to score four goals in a game. Uh,
right.
2 games into this series, and they've done it twice. I mean, even and it's very frustrating. You were touching on no one in the bottom nine has done anything. The Avs do not have a goal in this series that McKinnon doesn't have a point on. He again was
It's
flying today, but he was just about the only one.
right.
I
He
thought
can't do
Rantanen played
everything.
okay at times. I thought a couple other guys played okay at times, and I don't think on the whole the Avs played as bad today as they did in that last game. I thought bounces went against them, but I don't think that they played good today.
Yeah, me either. And I definitely want to touch on that too. Bounces did not go the Avalanche's way tonight. If McKinnon doesn't hit the crossbar when it's tie or when it's 3-2 in the second right there, if that goes in, then it's a whole different game. We're tied up in the early second, and just a lot of things that could have gone the Avs' way that ended up didn't, just not going our way. And another thing, Billy, in the Stars' last 5 games, they scored 26 goals. So
Yeah,
I don't know if they've turned it around or it's starting to click for them. I could see this veteran presence of Joe Pavelski really helping them right now. It's like he seems like a leader on that team for sure, and
yeah.
it's just the bottom. It's really just a tale of the bottom nine for the Avalanche. They just need to get it going.
It's so weird to see them. They were firing on all cylinders in the last 2 games against Arizona, and
Mm.
they didn't carry that momentum. And it's not like they had a long layoff to not carry that momentum. They just didn't. It looked like maybe in the first game they got cocky, but you got to think in the second game what is it? Because you would have thought if it was just cockiness they would have had that solved, and they didn't. They let the Stars get the better of them. And you touched on it. The Stars seem to have flipped a switch because this is not the same Stars team we saw in the regular season, and
No.
it's not even the same Stars team that we saw in the round robin. If they are if they are this good offensively down the stretch, this is a legitimate cup threat on a Stars team. So
Yeah.
now not only are the Avs down 2-0, they're down 2-0 against a legitimate contender. So they they absolutely need to figure it out quick. And also, at this point, if the Stars, you're probably not escaping this series if the Stars play the way they have been, unless you do something absolutely incredible. You need them to play better. You need them to honestly, you need them to play a little bit worse. And that's also one of those things. When the Avs are playing bad, the Stars are going to look better, and when the Stars are playing bad, the
Hmm.
Avs are going to look better. So maybe it's a little bit of that, but it's definitely going to be something to watch. We need to see if this Stars team is legit going into Game 3, and
Hmm.
I thought the Avs would flip the switch going into this game. I'm still hopeful that they will going into Game 3, but this series is much more up in the air at this point.
Yeah. Like I said earlier, I still don't think this is a death sentence for the Avalanche.
No.
Uh, that like they could just as easily come back and win these next two games. And that in the first half, like the Avs were buzzing, we were flying. McKinnon was, and that's just another thing. McKinnon's absolutely doing everything out there. Like he's everywhere on the ice, and that's just another knock on the bottom nine. They can't do anything. It's probably about time to break up that top line, honestly, and spread the wealth a little
You
bit.
might have to, because McKinnon looks like he'll do it with anyone, and you
Yeah.
need to try and maybe put in Rantanen or Landeskog next to Kadri. Will get them firing. Maybe putting a Burakovsky next to McKinnon could get him firing. Maybe even going back to Nemesnikov next to McKinnon and Rantanen might get them going. I mean, it worked in spurts. It didn't work in spurts, but it's time to try something new because right now the bottom nine needs a shakeup. The second line in particular is a little bit more surprising. Again, I don't think that they're playing good, but Tyson Jost and JT Comfort to me are playing better than a significant portion of the rest of this Avalanche team. So I'd like to leave them together on the third line. Mm-hmm. Maybe move Donskoy there, put Burakovsky somewhere in the top six. But you're right. It's time for a shakeup just to spark something.
Mm-hmm. I get. What's your take on Connaughton? How do you think he played tonight? I guess.
I mean, he wasn't terrible. I liked that he was taking some shots, but it's a substantial drop off from EJ, and we knew that, but it was blatantly obvious in this game.
Mm-hmm. He really hurt us on some plays early in that game, losing an edge in the back of the net and giving up a scoring chance. That I don't know if it's a problem with the ice and so many players playing on it. It's got to be because I've seen so many players just losing edges all over the place.
The bouncing pucks too. That's got to have something to do with it. But I mean, the other thing about that is we're all playing on the same ice. So as much as it's been frustrating to see the Avs do it, there's got to be a reason. Like they're not taking advantage of it when other teams are doing it. So and other teams are bobbling the puck as well. But that's something they need to fix. Back on that Connaughton tangent, I'm fairly confident EJ doesn't play Game 3. It just based on how everything.
I believe
looks.
Bednar said he's out indefinitely.
Yeah. Do you go back to Connaughton? Do you think about Barbario?
I'm thinking about Barbario at this point. Barbario brings a little bit more speed to the back end, and he's able to jump into the offense a little bit more than I feel like Connaughton can and is willing to. You probably give Barbs a go in Game 3. I don't really know if that shakes up the D too much. Probably not. You give Barbs a go though, in my opinion.
I think that's smart. I mean, it's not that Connaughton played terrible. It's just that he didn't necessarily play good. He absolutely didn't prove that this absolutely has to be his job. So I think you give Barbs the second shot at it. And Barbs was the guy all season. This is Connaughton being the seventh has been exclusively a postseason thing. So that's one move that you make for sure.
I kind of want to ask you about the collapse, that 4 goals in 9 minutes and whatever it was. So I guess what was the main theme that you took out of that? Why that happened? Because I have a take of why I think it happened. It goes back to Game 1 again. So I just want to hear what you got to say about that.
Okay. I mean, there's a few reasons. I mean, part of it, like I said, I don't know. I didn't love the officiating either way, but at the end of the day, both teams ended up on 5-on-3s. Dallas scored and Colorado did. Dallas scored twice and Colorado didn't. So, I mean, it's an old saying in hockey: if you don't score a 5-on-3, you don't deserve to win the game. And that's one thing that was big. And I think after that, the Radulov goal, the freak bounce, was a major, major momentum killer. And first of all, especially coming right off the not scoring on your opportunity. So it was momentum shifts. It was luck. It was somewhat officiating. Hard to blame the refs too much, even though I do think it was a badly officiated game. But lots of factors. I'm definitely curious. What is your take on that? What do you think it was?
So I'm glad that you mentioned momentum because that was one of them. And then another one that I thought just really bad team defense, especially on the
Yeah.
fourth goal. It's just Gerard back there. You have a literally directly after the goal, there's 4 stars in front of the net.
Uh huh.
Four stars. And
Exactly. And I
just
mean,
little Sammy G. Like,
they
what
were
the hell?
the Stars were pressing faster than we were back checking because
Mm-hmm.
yes, Donskoy turned it over and we're all caught deep, but they're also still deep and we're all facing the same direction. There's the Avs at that point in time waiting for the shot from the point are still facing that way. So we're all in the same place. The Avs need to be back checking as hard as the Stars are pressing, and that wasn't the case on that.
And again on their second goal, Gravy late back to the front of the net. He has to knock the guy on his ass after the puck is in the net. It's like, dude, you're on the penalty kill. You got to be between the net and the player, and you're just not. You're behind him. Like how is that good defense? Just the team defense in that collapse was god awful. It was god awful,
Yeah, I
and
agree
that's
with that.
unacceptable.
And I mean, Gravy is another guy. I mean, obviously at this point in time, you're not thinking about sitting Gravy, but you got to have a talk with him because
Mm-hmm.
this series he has not been good.
No.
Part of that is just that he doesn't have the foot speed to keep up at times. The goal that they gave up on that 2-on-2 in the last game was a lot about Gravy's foot speed and not getting back to the net, just not quick enough.
Mm-hmm.
Off the wall hockey. Thanks for hopping in the chat. We are also very worried about the Avs where they stand right
Yeah.
now. Like we said, this is not the same Dallas team that we saw in the regular season. This version of Dallas is a legitimate contender, and the Avs also a legitimate contender. But the way they're playing right now, they are not going to take down other contenders. So there needs to be a major change from game two to game three for the Avalanche to bounce back in this one.
Mm-hmm. What really stings me about this game too, it's not because we lost because Grubauer wasn't in net. It's not because we lost because we didn't have EJ. It's lost because we played really really bad in that 9 minute span, and I can't put it any other way. It's just the team defense was awful.
Yeah, and I think that's a perfect way of putting it. It's
Mm-hmm.
in the Arizona series, which we keep going back to it. We lost that game despite being the better team, and you can't make that case for either of our two losses in this series. We lost because we deserved to lose, and Dallas deserved to win, and that's as simple as that. So we got to hope for the bounce back, and this Avs team has shown an ability to bounce back from a tough loss. You do got to wonder. Sometimes they have that tendency, at least I've seen, where they they come out swinging when they're bouncing back off a loss, like they did today. 20 shots in the first period,
Right.
but do have this tendency to maybe become demoralized a little bit more quickly after they come out swinging when things don't necessarily go their way. And I think we saw a little bit of that today.
Yeah, we did see a little bit of that after the 5-on-3 for sure is when that for sure took place in my opinion. After they killed off and McKinnon hit the crossbar, it was just really demoralized the boys, and you could see it just by in the momentum shift. You could see how hard it swung in Dallas's favor. Yeah, I don't know.
Absolutely. I mean, let's talk a little bit about where we stand right now. So we talked about how big Game Two was coming in, and it's real rough that we lost it. But at this point, Game Three is even bigger. That's just how it is. If you lose Game Three, you're down 3-0 in the series, and it's not as good as over, but it might as well be.
Right.
It's happened like 2 or 3 times in the league history where a team has come back from down 3-0, and this
Yeah.
I think if Dallas wins Game Three, it's very very likely that they win. If we win Game
Yeah.
Three, now it's a 2-1 series, and now we're sitting in a
Yeah.
position where we can come out in Game Four, win that one, and now we're sitting at a 3-game series with a team that we think we're better than with all the momentum. So
Right. Yeah,
Being able to come out in Game 3 is massive for sure.
it's fair in my opinion to call Game 3 a must win. Like you
Yeah.
have to win Game 3 for sure. If you don't, like you said, you teams very rarely come back from the 3-0 deficit in hockey, and let alone any sport.
Yeah. It's not something that is common at all. It's very difficult to do. I was
So
gonna ask you who you think has to step up, but really the answer's clear, and it's the entire forward. It's
yeah,
the entire team,
yeah,
other than the very high end of McKinnon.
yeah. I'm really looking at particularly Burakovsky.
Yeah,
He he didn't look too good to me. I don't. He's got that awesome shot too, and there's a few times he didn't shoot the puck where he should have shot the puck, and he's dishing it in the corner to guarded players. He's just making extra passes when we know Berkey's got that absolute ripper, and it's just frustrating to see him not shoot.
yeah. That one play sticks out to me. He has the
Mm-hmm.
puck in the high slot. You have a better shot than anybody on the ice right now, and he tried to thread it through two sticks to JT Comfer, and it
Yeah.
got batted down because obviously it got batted down.
Right.
You gotta be smarter. And look, it's one of those things. I think that sometimes comes just from being growing up. You have all kinds of coaches that'll tell you, pass the puck, don't be a selfish player, and you've got that in the back of your mind. And I think sometimes when you get to the NHL or when you get to higher levels, for some players that sticks a little bit too much, and you get guys like Burakovsky who
Mm-hmm.
clearly the best play in that scenario was to shoot the puck,
Mm-hmm.
but he made the pass anyway. And don't get me wrong, he can be a very good playmaker at times, but
Yeah.
he's got to be a shooter first because that's his skill set.
Yeah, we've seen him. Like he had a couple shots where I thought he could have snuck it in short side maybe, and he didn't do it. He passes it off. Or there was on one play he did create a play off it. He put it back to the point, and there was a good shot on that. So it's just certain situations like you said, Billy. He just needs to shoot. It was ugly tonight. It was not good.
Yeah,
Um, I do want to talk about a positive though in Nathan McKinnon tying a franchise record for the longest point streaks in the playoffs,
which is
tying
incredible.
very incredible, tying Joe Sakic.
At 10 games, I believe, which,
Yep.
I mean, just think of everything that goes into scoring in 10 straight games. He's done it against four different teams now. He's done it
Hmm.
in winning games, he's done it in losing games, he's done it in close games, he's done it in blowouts. He scored big goals. It's impressive to see a player
Hmm.
with this kind of talent, and it gives you hope knowing that
Right.
you have the best player in the bubble. There's no one in the bubble that's better than Nathan McKinnon.
Not even close. But yeah. So that's really amazing for sure. But that just also really goes to show McKinnon's been doing really everything for the Avs, just absolutely everything, and I can't say it enough. That bottom nine really needs to step up in Game 3.
Yeah, it's if that bottom nine doesn't get going, the Avs won't win this series.
No.
If they're relying on last year, we didn't think the Avs were going to win in the conference final going in. You always think your team has a shot, but the Sharks were clearly the favorite, and that's because the Avs were a one-line team and the Sharks were a deep team. Well,
Mhm.
so far in this series, the Avs have been a one-line team and the Stars have been a deep team. So that has to change if the Avs have any chance in this series. Um, I guess we just end this on this was an ugly hockey game. This has been an
Mhm.
ugly series so far. The Avalanche need to show the mental toughness, they need to show the physical toughness, and they need to grind this one out in the next couple of games. And I think that they have the ability to do that. We will
Mhm.
see what they end up doing. Anything you want
Yeah.
to talk about before we close this one out, Zach?
I guess just Game 3, they gotta establish their forecheck. They gotta start, like they were saying on the broadcast, that the Stars are locking it down. You got to start moving north and south instead of east to west to really break these guys down. And you might take some big hits that way. Like these guys are big, and that's just part of the game. You can't be fucking scared. You need to dump and chase, honestly.
Yeah. Be able to take a
And
hit to make a play.
yeah, and we haven't seen enough of that, honestly. We don't have. I mean, no, we do have players that will do that, and they'll put the body on the line for sure. There's players like that all over this lineup. It's just we need to start seeing that implemented into the game.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you have to
Hmm.
play the next game like you played period one, but you got to play the whole game like you played period
Yeah.
one. So
Yes.
hopefully the Avalanche will do that. And like I said, I'm hopeful. That's where we're gonna end it for today. It's definitely been a frustrating night. It's been a frustrating couple of nights to be an Avs fan, but things are gonna turn around eventually. So thank you to all our viewers. Go ahead and hit that like button if you're still here in the live chat. Do whatever helps us out on whatever platform you're watching us on. We live stream these on YouTube and then upload the MP3 all over. You know, we're on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, anywhere you listen to your podcast, you can find us. That's it for us today. We'll see you in our next episode.
Come on, baby.
We gotta love it.